Hey, good to sit down with you, Ern. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, doing fine. How are you doing?
It's a busy week, huh? It's a busy week. You told me you were going to APEC. Got the chance to meet the ambassador of the United States to talk about climate tech and agri tech. So, such a wonderful time. Thank you for taking this hour to speak together. Actually, it's an overdue, right? We know each other for how many years, and now we are in the space together. So I'm really glad this is happening. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very excited and very glad to help support this space, and I hope to see more climate tech in this region.
Awesome. So yeah, just to get started, right? Ern here is one of my great friend in agri-tech. Has been running a company in agri-tech, probably one of the first in the region. For many years. It's one of these geniuses that you don't see often. Right? Thai nationality, went to MIT, Cornell University as well. Came back to try to reshape the landscape of agriculture in the region. So why don't you share a little bit of what you've been doing? What's your journey towards agri tech? That would be I think a good point to start.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, and very happy to share my story. So first of all, I think like you and many of your the listener here, I'm a tech optimist. So I pretty much believe that technology can make the world better and can solve many problems that we're facing as we grow, right, in the world, right? The world population is rising. There are more resources that need to be taken care of, and how the world is breaking down due to climate issues. And I feel that technology can come in and help solve all this mess. And another thing is that my background started from my family owns a farmland in Thailand. I wouldn't call myself a farmer, but I would call myself as someone whose family just happened to have a farmland, and we are very passionate about working on our farm, even though farming is not our main business. But that helped me realize since I was very young how difficult it is to do farming in this country, and how almost half of the country population in Thailand, or almost 20 million people, are working in the farming sectors, and it is a very tough industry. Right. So people usually think that farming is easy. They are having fun. They're very happy running around in the rice field or in the lavender field, right? You know what you see in the Sound of Music movie, where people are just jumping around on the mountain and having enjoyable life. But in fact, in reality, it is not like that, right? So in reality, the farmers have to rely on their farming for the income, which they only make $200 a month, which is extremely low.
Wow.
You're living in this country in Thailand, where the minimum wage is $500 a month if you're working as a construction worker or you work in a service industry.
Right.
But the average income of the farmer is just $200 a month, and this make up 40% of the Thai population. I mean, on one hand, you see this huge skyscraper, you see this supercar in Bangkok with a bunch of rich, top-notch Asian richest people in Bangkok, right?
Yeah.
But once you go out to the rural area, the landscape shifts right away. There is a huge inequality that happens. The question is that how can we bring in technology to close this gap? So this has always been my passion. So luckily I have this farming background, and I am very passionate about this topic since I grew up in a farm basically. So I want to see how I can bring AI, bring technology, or even Web3 in the future to come in and see how we can solve this problem for the farmers and help them have a better life and income.
Wonderful. Such an inspiring mission, and that's why I was looking forward to this sit down. I think this is something that we both share. That we both see how technology can be helpful to make money. We both have a lot of friends in e-commerce, in crypto, but we both decided to refocus ourselves into using technology for good. And yeah, it's not that easy, but I think you guys have found a nice way to get things started. So tell us about Ricult. a little bit, how it started, what was the first product that you guys have launched, and yeah, how's that emerging?
Yeah, so in short, what we do is pretty much like a robo advisor in the trading industry, right? Where you analyze a bunch of data with AI and let AI help you come up with a better trading strategy. So the concept is similar. So we have pretty much built the same AI model for farming. So we built like a personalized helper to help farmers make better decisions to improve their farming success. Right. So basically, let me give you a quick example. In France and in Europe, right, the farmers, or even in the US, the farmers actually make 3 times the productivity of the farmers in Thailand because they use a better technology, they have better knowledge, they have better innovation. So pretty much there's a big gap that technology can help the Thai farmers uplift their income and their productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can use AI to analyze various data, we can help them make better decisions to easily increase their income by 50%. So to put some numbers in, right, we already have close to 1 million downloads in Thailand with the farmers. On average, farmers who use our technology have increased their income by almost 50%, right?
Wow.
So this has been having a huge impact on their livelihood and on their family and on their income. But the next question is that how can we help them further? Because as I mentioned, there is a 300% gap between what the farmers in Thailand are making and what the farmers in Europe are making, right? So there's a huge gap still to be closed. Even though I help them increase by 50%, there are the remaining 250% left, right? But the people may ask, right? You guys might wonder, like, how do we actually make money? What is our business model? Because that's the main question that people usually ask impact entrepreneurs.
Right.
Because are you just do-gooders? Are you an NGO? Are you just believe that the world will be good? And how the heck do you make money and pay your salary, right? And your team. So we have to be creative and try to find different business model along the supply chain. Right? I think that's the biggest question for startup, right? We have been talking a lot about repeatability, scalability, about traction. But I think right now we are in a recession where we have to talk about the bread and butter of startup, of a business, which is how the heck do you actually make profit and revenue to make your company sustainable. Right. So I think we are in a sweet spot where we are working with almost 1 million farmers in Thailand, not just Thailand. We just expanded to Vietnam as well.
Congratulations.
And we can connect. Yes, thank you. And we are looking forward to expand to other countries in ASEAN region and in South Asia countries as well. But in a nutshell, how we make money is pretty much we get the commission when we connect farmers with the banks for loan, when we connect them with input for fertilizer sourcing, or we help them sell the produce to the off-takers.
I see. Okay, so it's a commission-based model. Okay. Well, so it's very much financial services that you guys have been offering for the past 5 years of Ricult. More than that, when did you guys start?
Yeah, we started in 2017. So yeah,
5 years.
5 years now.
Yeah, and so that's been what I've pushed you guys to, from seed stage to Series A, and you guys have some really strong investors. For the people who are watching, go check them out on LinkedIn and TechCrunch, Ricult. And so for the past 2 years, I think you have observed, and we talked about this a little bit, how things are shifting into the world of finance and how now finance is starting to rise towards the environment, right? And in this new wave that we call climate tech, which is encompassing agriculture tech, clean energy tech, but also carbon offsetting, right? And so very interestingly, we were together at the dinner, I think 2 weeks ago, and you updated me a little bit. And I think you guys are moving towards that as well, to not only offer financial services to farmer, but also carbon offsetting services to farmer as well. So we'd love to learn more about that. Can you tell us what's the plan and how do you see that opportunity?
Yeah, so once I get more involved with the farming industry, right, and the farmers, I realized that when we talk about climate change, people usually just talk about fossil fuel, about the renewable energy sectors, and how we have to transform the energy sectors, right? But I would say that energy sector is just part of the problem and part of the industry that is getting affected by climate change. I think agriculture is one of the most overlooked industry in terms of climate change because, first of all, there are 500 million smallholder farmers around the world, right? So pretty much, if you look at developing countries in Asia and Africa and South America, almost half of these country population are in the agricultural sector. And they will be one of the group of people that will get the hardest hit by climate change, with drought, with flooding. And when this happens, they don't have a saving to go through from one season to another. They barely have any cash on hand, right? So my assumption and what I'm guessing is that climate change will have a bigger impact on the rural poor than COVID-19.
Absolutely.
I think that's for sure.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it will be a huge problem politically, economically, socially.
Yeah.
There will be a huge uprise because pretty much half of the people in developing countries won't have any income to eat, and they'll be in a big trouble. So the question is that how do we mitigate this risk and help them adapt early to climate change to make sure that big problem doesn't affect them?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's where I'm coming from. And as I dig deeper, I was amazed that if you look at the carbon emission around the world, right? Actually, agriculture emits 25% of the world global carbon emission, which is comparable to the construction or almost equal to the energy sectors.
Yeah.
But people don't usually talk about how do we reduce the carbon emission from the farming sector as well.
Yeah.
So agriculture is in a unique position where they are one of the largest carbon emitter in the world, and also one that will get the hardest hit as well. So pretty much we will have to help them transform and become net zero and help them adapt to this climate crisis.
I'm glad you're mentioning the word adapt, because that's pretty much what came out of my 2 years research writing my book called The Adaptive Economy, right? I believe we need to create an economy of adaptation of climate change, because it's actually too late to stop climate change. The question is only how can we build resilient infrastructures that will help people survive those climate events, and how can we help those new cities to still thrive, right? So cities, food production, energy production, buildings, retrofitting, all those three are very important topic for the adaptive economy, and for me as an investment thesis as well. So yeah, this
nice.
I send you a copy at some point, and I'm glad that you're realizing that. So okay, we share this common ground now, right? And I think hopefully with your advocacy in the ecosystem, more founders will join our common ground and join our battle. So for you in Ricult, what do you think you can do to help farmers reduce their carbon emission? What do you see first, in the market, and maybe later, what do you see for Ricult as an opportunity?
I see many things, right? First of all, I think I will be boasting too much, and I think it will be a dream if we can claim that we will help agriculture turn to be net zero industry, right? I think it is too far ahead for us. Maybe it will require different type of technology and different support from different stakeholders, such as the government as well, in terms of subsidy, an incentive system that they have to bring into the table. But what we can do is that we can help them adapt to a changing weather and climate. Drought, flood, which is very, very irregular now. Without AI technology, we analyze a bunch of satellite data, weather data to help them change the way they farm, right? In the past, the farmer would just rely on their instinct and experience to decide what crop they grow, when they should plant the crops, when they should harvest, which is at the mercy of horrible climate events, right? If there's flood or drought that comes in They have no plan to shift themselves around. But with our technology, we can tell them in advance that, oh, don't plant your crop in July, just shift to August instead, so that you can skip over the drought period first. That will have a huge effect on your farm, for example. Right. And, but we don't only help them with that. We also help them with financing. We are working with multiple technology provider or tools and machinery to help them get access to technology that will help them plan better and adapt to climate better as well. We're also providing financial service as mentioned.
Yeah, wonderful. I think one of the industry that I mentioned into my investment thesis is agriculture climate resilience insurances. I think that's going to be a big deal. Having farmers insuring, their production with the risk of floods and droughts. We'd love to, chat with you on a separate note on that, maybe offline at some point. That's a massive opportunity. There's one thing that we've been doing with Atlas. We invested into agri-tech company in the US doing crops resilience to droughts and change of temperature. So they're using AI to merge different species of rice to actually get the strongest one that will be more resilient to +1 or -1 degree, for example, right? They're doing that for different aspects of climate change, but the temperature and the drought, the water pressure is a great one. So maybe that's a company you could work with as well to sell their crops back here to Southeast Asia. Very, very important topic. Thank you for sharing that.
Actually, I want to add one thing, right, to make it more relevant to the listener and how it affects us as well. I don't want listener or us to think that the climate change would affect only the farmers, right, and the agriculture, but it also affect the food security, right? Pretty much, if the farmers cannot grow rice or grow sugarcane, there is drought, there is flood. What will happen to the people in the city is that
price rising.
Price will rise up right away, right? It will have a huge effect on everyone, not just the poor farmers.
Yeah. And we've seen that with Ukraine, where that very little country that no one heard about, just being a conflict, the price of cooking oil have increased tremendously, right, globally, and that was just one country. So can you imagine when all the area of tropical equator are getting more water, flooding, for example, what's going to be the impact on that? I think we've seen that in China also last year, where the past 8 months there were drought in China, and that's been really impacting the price of common goods globally. So definitely this is a very important topic. What about carbon emissions? So right now, of course, helping farmers to adapt to drought and other climate events through satellite imagery and others, it's a big deal. But what about carbon offset, carbon reduction? I've heard that rice was one of the biggest polluter. During the season where they are drying the rice, that rice is emitting a lot of carbon. So what I've told. So can you explain that a little bit and tell us, how is there anything that we could do about that in Southeast Asia?
I think I'm glad that you mentioned rice, right? So rice is actually one of the largest emitter of CO2 in the agricultural system. And I think people are getting more and more aware, right? So the good news is that Bill Gates just recently launched, I think his fund invested in a agri-tech company in Vietnam. I wouldn't say I'm not sure if it is for profit or it is a non-profit entities, but it's a tech solution that will help rice farmer in Vietnam use different type of crop that is more tolerant and emit less carbon dioxide. And I think this company have really raised almost 30-40 million US dollar without anything yet. But it's just a concept that everyone knows that the money should go into this area to build this technology to help farmers adapt and change the way rice farming is done.
Yeah, this is a breakthrough energy venture fund investing in Wavemaker Partners, a venture builder. Surprisingly, they haven't built anything, but they already have raised $40 million. I wish that money could go to you guys. You guys are real entrepreneurs and stuff, but at least there is some money funneling into Southeast Asia, and hopefully you guys are next. I'll make sure that if I get to speak with Bill Gates, I tell him about you guys. And hopefully through our work together, we're gonna get you connected with some more investors. But definitely, Southeast Asia is probably one of the greatest place for agri-tech. You and I have talked about this. When we got the chance to meet Kun Supashai from CP, I think 3 or 4 years ago. Thailand, let's not expect to have the next global unicorn for crypto, right? But for agriculture, Thailand have a chance, right? So tell us how you see the progress for the past few years, right? Because I think a lot have been happening in Thailand and in that region, and you've been, of course, forecasting this and then spearheading this. But yeah, what do you see as a progress on that industrialization of the agricultural sector so far, and what do you see next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so I think agriculture, right? I think we're waiting for someone to come up with. First of all, I have to say that working in agriculture is very difficult, right? If you look at the startups around the world, there is barely any agriculture tech that has been successful, right? Because it is so difficult to do. The cycle is long, but I think it's highly important. As mentioned, almost half of the Thai country population in this sector, not just Thailand, but emerging country around the region. And this is a $1 trillion industry, right? Just Thailand alone is multi-billion-dollar transaction going on every year, right? Wow. The question is that who can make a technology to tap into this huge fragmented market? And I think carbon and net zero and climate adaptation would definitely come in for sure into this industry. Because if, in the food system, if the European market start to put tariff or tax on the import of product from other countries, and they need some traceability or some net zero certificate, right? I think there will be a huge adjustment to this sector very soon. The question is that who can create technology or innovation that can tap into this industry first?
Right. To finish this interview, Aaron, you just got a baby. You're not only a successful entrepreneur in Southeast Asia and agri-tech leader, you're also a father. So I'm glad that you can show that some people can make companies doing good and still have a bit of a life, right? So if you had to tell one advice to fellow entrepreneurs who are still doing technology, e-commerce, and to invite them into this agri-tech industry, which is a little bit harder, right? Because we talk about hardware, we talk about satellites here sometimes. But what do you want to tell those people, right? And also for these investors who are traditionally maybe e-commerce investors, real estate investors, what do you want to tell them to be interested to make the jump, putting down some money to walk into agri-tech? What do you want to tell these people?
Yeah, so first of all, I think as you mentioned, I just had a newborn son, right? But actually that have pushed me to dive deeper into these sectors, because I don't want to let my son grow up in a world where we are facing a huge climate crisis, where we are in a big mess, right? The question is that how can our generation, our people in our age can develop innovation and technology that can leave a better world behind for our children, right? So I think that's the main motivation for me.
That is our job. That is our job.
Yes. And thanks a lot for this podcast and setting up the fund to invest into more climate tech and innovators, because this is much needed at this time of crisis, right?
It is.
The world is pretty much on fire. So what I want to say and end this meeting is that there is a huge opportunity going on. I don't want to just focus on agriculture, but there are other sectors in the region in Southeast Asia where climate tech entrepreneurs can play a big role. And I think a lot of money will go into these sectors. And this is a much needed problems to solve, right? So rather than creating another startup to make another emoji icon, maybe solve a real problem in a climate tech, might have more impact. And if you're passionate, and I would say that there are a lot of money going on in this sector right now.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for that message. I hope we can broadcast it to enough people. And wonderful. Keep it up, man. Keep going. Keep rocking. And looking forward to do more together. Thank you for today, Ern.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks a lot for your time.